Have we been studying?
Yes.
All right. So good evening to you all. It's my pleasure actually to resume. It's been a very, very eventful year so far, a year that we all look forward to. And to the glory of God, here we are in 2021. I just want to appreciate you. Many of you called, some texts and all that. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope that this year we will do better than we've always done, and that many of your prayers of relocation and all of that, of your admissions, will come to pass this year by God's grace. If you are joining us for the first time or you are a returning customer, we thank you. My name is Joy Agagwu, and I am the IELTS tutor for overseas nurses. I am a registered nurse in Nigeria, a registered nurse midwife also in Nigeria, now a registered nurse in the UK. I have been able to write and pass the IELTS and done some trainings, and I am certified to teach English online, and I'm teaching the International English Language Testing System, online for you to make your band and relocate if you are seeking relocation or for your admission. Specifically in this class, what we teach is the academic module of the IELTS exam. I teach the academic modules in this class particularly, and it is majorly for relocation for health workers or those that are seeking admissions into universities or maybe for masters or BSc or whatever outside the country where they are. I am happy to be in your midst, and the module, there's some adjustment bits and bits of changes here and there, and our rules, like we all know, still stand. When you join this class, it is known or it's obvious that you have gone through our pinned message on the Telegram group. Most of the people here are on the Telegram group, and it means you've gone through the post on the Telegram group and you have agreed and accepted our terms and conditions. And one of our major rule, ground rule here is when you're coming into our class, you must have your video on. If you don't have your video on, I'll take you out of the class and then I'll block you from coming into the class. If for any reason you can't have your video on, probably because you're at work or you are in the house where you are not alone, or you just don't want to show your face, it's fine. We are streaming this lesson live on YouTube, and you can always join us on YouTube, or you can go back later, all right, to watch it. So it's open on our YouTube page for you to join live or for you to watch later. As long as you have accepted to join the virtual meeting on Zoom, it has to be video. When you join the class, you have your video on, you have your microphone muted, except you are asked to unmute yourself or the admin unmutes you, probably to answer a question or to ask a question for whatever reason that may be. Also, we have our rules that are guiding the assignment, and there's a lot of change in the aspect of that rule. It will do you well if you take note of these rules, because it's going to help you to run in this year. You send in assignments when you are told to send them in. If, for instance, we say send in your assignment from today, this evening, up until 4 p.m. tomorrow, for example, when it is 4:01, if you send in your work, I'm not going to vet it. And if you don't get vetting, then that is not our fault, because you have decided not to obey the rules. And partly to avoid that issue of some works not vetted and all of that, I have changed a little bit of that rule, and it's now going to be in class. Every vetting will be done in this class, and it is coming in form of classwork. So if you are watching us online, if you are on YouTube, that's a different thing for you, because I know you can't post all of your work on YouTube for me to go through simultaneously. But when I come in and I have a look at them, I know how to handle those work and I'll take care of that. Another thing I want you to note is that if I didn't say you should send in work, please don't do any assignment and send to the mail. Also, do not send assignments to my personal mail. I know that when you register or when you click on, the pinned message and all that, my personal email is on there, but it is not for you to send in your assignments or your work. Please do not send me any mail in my personal box, except you are asked to do so. When we finish our work in class and I say you should send them in, please send them in. Other than that, don't send them in. We need to be orderly, and on no account, like we all know, we have always respected ourselves here. Nobody should harass or cyberbully another. Another very valid point is that you all know that we share our testimonial, videos. When you pass your exams, you're supposed to send in a testimonial video for others to see that it's what we are doing here, it's working, and also to encourage someone to know that these lessons are not in vain. Like if somebody can do it, then they too can do it, because some people, we are like Thomases and we need to see before we believe. So you will send in your video. You should not come to the class, or it's not fair for you to come to the class, study, and then go, and when you pass, you say video and you say no, you don't want your face shown. If your face can be shown in the class, then your face can be shown in those videos. Besides, we blur the videos for those of you who don't want your faces to show, so it can be a little bit blurred for you, to encourage someone still. So please keep to these rules. Help us so that we can help you. Pray for yourselves and then hand in your work when you are told to do so. Class participation is very, very, very much compulsory, and we hope to still assist as many as we can. Ibrahim has passed his exams and his processes have started. Many of you have passed your exams and they have left the class, and it's a good thing for us to know, a teacher feels proud when they see that their students are excelling. That said, if you are just joining, yes, my name is Joy Agagwu. I still remain Joy Ojonile Agagwu. I've not changed. I'm the IELTS tutor for overseas nurses. I can see so many new faces on here. Many of you were YouTube students, and now you have come to the class. You are welcome to this class. It's a class where we participate. It's a class where there's no shame, where there's no bullying, and it's a class where you feel among, like everybody relates together. So I'm starting the class for IELTS all over again. No more going back. Once we kickstart, this is the first class, and until further notice, it's going to be once in a week class. Because of my job schedule have changed and so many things are happening. And I do believe that if you are a serious student, once in a week class should be enough for you. When you have all the aspects of IELTS treated, you can always go back to it, all right? You can always go back to the YouTube page to watch the videos so that you continue to keep yourself up to date, and then it give yourself a better understanding of what has been happening. So we are starting all over again. IELTS is academic, and IELTS academic has 4 parts. We have writing, reading, speaking, and listening. We take them one after the other. As a nurse, as a doctor, you are expected to score certain band in all of this. For doctors, you must score a total band of 7.5. None should be less. But for nurses, you can score 7.0. That's 7.0 band. That's your overall band. And that none of the components should have less than 7.7, except for writing that is now 6.5 for nurses. And I believe that it's majorly like that for every other health worker. If you are a student seeking relocation, it depends on what your school has asked you to score. And I believe it's a bit lower. Most of them are 6.0 bands. For nurses, you can now club your results. For instance, if you have 2 results and in 2 of them, you don't have any band that is less than 6.5, you can club the results and then use 2 IELTS results to cover up for 1. Okay, it's doable. I've seen people do it. I know someone who is coming and did it. Many people are still relocating. So many news are flying. For now, yes, it's a bit difficult to get a job recently because of the pandemic, and the employers are not really fast with the processes, but it's still ongoing. Okay, so today we are going to start with the almighty writing. Many people say writing is difficult, but to me, writing is one of the simplest or the easiest modules in IELTS. Okay, writing task has there are 2 tasks in writing. We have writing task 1 and writing task 2. Yeah, writing task 1 and writing task 2. So writing task 1 is where you are expected to write about graphs and all of that. We say them when we start tackling each and every one of them. But there you are expected to spend not more than 20 minutes. And in task 2, you spend 40 minutes. A total of 150 words, not less than 150 words, is what you are expected to write in writing in task 1, while in task 2, you are expected to have not less than 250 words. When we get to this specific task, we will be talking about them, all right? So the writing task is just like, it's an academic style of writing where you're expected to write not less than 150 for writing task 1, and then to complete this task in 20 minutes. Let every microphone be muted, please. The task is testing your ability to analyze and explain a given information. Answers are presented in your own words, in complete sentences that makes up the paragraphs, okay? There are various types that you will find, and this includes graph, pie charts, bar charts, floor plans, maps, process graphs, and tables. Victoria Suberu, can you mute your microphone, please? Good. We are going to be a little bit stricter with our rules. If you disturb the class, we take you out to go sort yourself out because we don't want distractions. Okay, I just mentioned the type of task that you will find in task 1. There are various question types you will find. I said pie charts, bar charts, okay, graphs, floor maps, process graphs, and tables. So we'll be discussing each and every one of them with tips on how to write an excellent report on them. But before then, there are various variables that are common to every question type, okay? Every question type has certain things that are common to them, and these variables are called the band descriptors. They are the criteria for your band scores. The information you give in it determines your final score at the end of the marking. There are 4 variables that make up the band descriptors, as we will explain them because that's how you are going to be rated. The first one is called task achievement or task response. Some people call it task response, others call it task achievement. Some say it's task completion. This component assesses your ability to complete a task as instructed. Following the structure, the introduction, you introduce the task by rephrasing the question prompt that you are giving. A complete summary of the key features is expected for them to have said that you have completed the task. Highlight of the key features and writing not less than 150 words. The next one is coherence and cohesion. Coherence and cohesion test your ability to write in a sequential order. For instance, if we have reasons and we say you should recite the alphabets. For coherence and cohesion of that recitation, you have to say A before you say B. You say C, then D, then E, and F. You move from one stage to the other in a sequential order, all right? Your ability to write in a sequential manner, presenting your ideas logically, your proper paragraphing, showing a clear progression, all right, in the entire work that you're doing. Your ability to avoid unnecessary repetition of information, using a range of cohesive devices and linking words to express accuracy in the entire write-up. That's what coherence and cohesion is scoring you on. Then we move on to talk about lexical resource. What are you expected? What information is your examiner expecting you to give when they are scoring you for lexical resource? If you are joining this class for the first time, please have your microphone muted. I think I should stop entry by now. There was a rule and I posted it on Telegram. And I did say that you should come in at least 5-10 minutes before the class starts. Please don't come into the class and drag us backwards, okay? Because I'm not going to go back. I was talking about coherence and cohesion, and just by way of summary, I said your ability to write in a sequential order, presenting your ideas logically, proper paragraphing for you to show a clear progression in your work, all right? Avoiding unnecessary repetition of information, and then using a range of cohesive devices and linking words to express accuracy in your entire work, in the entire write-up. Lexical resource talks about the range of vocabularies that you are using, the use of synonyms to explain yourself, using adverbs and adjectives to show precision, appropriate word formation, correct spellings, avoidance of errors as much as possible. So many people have lost marks because they spelled wrongly. So you need to be very careful. I know many of us have problems with that. Even when you send in work and I'm vetting, I had to do corrections on some spellings and some word formation errors, your sentence formation, like avoiding errors in your English, in what you say, in what you write, is helping. It's going to help you a lot if you know your lexical resource. Grammatical range and accuracy is the last but not the least. This has to do with the sentence formation, where you have simple sentences, compound sentences, and then complex sentences. Good grammar formation and appropriate punctuations. Lexical resource, there's spellings on there. In grammatical range and accuracy, we have punctuations on there. Like where you're supposed to put a question mark and then you have a full stop, it doesn't make sense because it does not look like a question anymore. So that statement will be wrong and it will be marked wrong. At the end of the day, you have your band reduced because of those errors. The reason why you have to know these things is because they will guide your writing and help you to score a higher band, your desired band at the end of the day. So having known what the band descriptors are and what is expected of you, I want you to know that depending on the type of task that you are given, there are different languages that you use to express the answers, based on whether the task is about numbers, or is about percentages, or is about steps in a process, or you're talking about graphs, and you're talking about location, or you're talking about anything else. Anything you're giving, any question at all that you're giving, you don't tackle them in the same manner. But the good thing is, all of the band descriptors that we just explained, they all relate with all of these question types, okay? All the question types has the use of these band descriptors in them, even though the question types have their specific language, specific verbs, specific adjectives, and all of that. So when we are dealing with these question types, we will be able to deal with the kind of language, the structure of the words that you should use in describing this kind of task, okay? So the type of task in writing task 1 can either be maybe a graph or whatever, depending on the task that you have. Some of these graphs can be changed over time. Some of them can be static. Change over time where it's over a long period of time, okay? Or static where they say within a particular time. So there are different types, all right? The IELTS writing task can either be static or change over time irrespective. Even Your pie chart, it can be static, it can be changed over time. Your bar graph, it can be static, it can be changed over time. Your line graph, it can be static, it can be changed over time. So we have talked about the type of tags that are here and then the band descriptors. We will talk about the structure, the general structure of the writing task 1. We're dealing with the things that are common, irrespective to the different questions that you will find in the writing task 1. So what is the structure? What does it look like? How does writing task 1 look like? How can I see writing task 1 and I will not mistake it for writing task 2? What is my examiner expecting to see in my writing task 1 that is not expected in a writing task 2? The structure is made up of 2 major things, and that is the introduction and the overview. 2 major things are expected in writing task 1, irrespective of what the question is. 2 things, the introduction and the overview. Okay, so what information are in my introduction? The introduction is a paraphrase of the question prompt that you are given with an overall statement. The paraphrase of the question prompt, maybe they have asked you, they've given you a question and they said that below is a given graph, or it is a process of how to make meat pie, for instance. Now, you have to get an introduction and an overview. They will list out the steps for you. That looks to me more like the steps in a process, okay, or a process graph. They list out the steps for you, all right, or the processes that are involved in the baking or in the making or frying or whatever of meat pie. So the question that they have asked you is the question prompt you have been given. So if you get me say question prompt, it's the same thing. Now you have to have an introduction. This introduction is a paraphrase. What is a paraphrase? Who will tell me what a paraphrase is in this class? Abigail. Abigail, what is a paraphrase?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
A paraphrase in my own understanding, is a way of rephrasing the question,
okay,
the question prompt, but you are using different synonyms, you are using different words, but you are saying the same thing. Paraphrasing is just like you are bringing out the question, but not in the same way. You are using different synonyms to still convey the same message. Like maybe you are asked to maybe there's a question like maybe.
Okay. Thank you very much, Abigail.
But you. Just like you are bringing a question, but in a different way and with different synonyms.
Thank you. Thank you. Linda. Linda, what is a synonym?
Yeah, good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening, ma.
Good evening, Linda. What is a synonym? Yes, I can hear you, and the class can hear you, I'm sure. What is a synonym?
A synonym is using another word that has this meaning, but in different way. That's interpreting, as you are trying to give the meaning of a word with another meaning, but it relates with the circle of meaning.
Okay. By way of clarification, a synonym is a word that means exactly the same thing or nearest in meaning or nearly the same meaning as another word?
It has the same meaning.
A word that have the same meaning or nearly the same meaning as another word. That is a synonym. My name is Joy. Joy means happiness. Joy can be excitement. The word joy is synonymous with happiness, with excitement. So synonyms, a synonym is a word that have exactly the same meaning or nearly the same meaning with another word. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we clear to move? So it's
Yes,
a paraphrase. And for you to paraphrase, there's a link between synonym and paraphrasing. You don't paraphrase without synonyms. So you use synonyms to paraphrase. Okay? Paraphrasing is you saying something that has been said or writing something that has been written using synonyms, using words that are the same but in a different way. All right, without changing the meaning of the statement. Paraphrasing, you're making a statement using different words from the previous words used without changing the meaning of the statement. All right. If I say that Linda was not able to attend the Zoom class today because she feels sick. Linda was not able to attend the Zoom class today because she is unwell. Let me use that one. She is unwell. Paraphrasing that statement, I can say Linda is absent from the class today as a result of an illness or because she took ill. Please, she's not feeling fine. There's no place for it. Because if I ask you people to start writing it now, somebody will write because she's not feeling fine. Please, oh. Belinda, you are smiling. You will see it now. It's true. It's what we see. Because she is not feeling fine. I will do like this, and then I will do like this. And I will do the style of my teacher in primary school, where they'll score you 0/10, do your eye and your nose, and do ear for you. That's what I will do. Okay? So we need to, if you are attending this class and your spoken and written English, your report writing at work has not improved, then you are not learning. Then you are not learning. You need to like practicalize this thing. Bring it into what you're doing. Let your report writing change. Let your handover not be, as usual, in situ. It's the same management. Let there be a touch of difference in what you do as a result of your attendance in this class. So paraphrasing, you do it with synonyms. In the introduction of your writing task 1, you use paraphrasing, all right? You paraphrase the question prompt. That's how to get your introduction. Then you write an overall statement. We have talked about paraphrasing. An overall statement, what is an overall statement? I've defined this in this class before. I want to catch somebody who has been here before. Madam Vera, she knew I would call her. Madam Vera, how do I get an overall statement? Hey, this woman. Okay, let me leave you. Finish what you are doing. Don't hide your face, Christiana Tosin. How do I get an overall statement?
Good evening, ma.
Good evening. How are you?
Hi, ma. You get an overall statement by observing the line graph or the process chart that has been given. Then you look at the one that is immediately noticeable. That's how you get the overall statement.
Okay. Everything there is noticeable because you can see it. I've said it before and I'm saying it now that unlike the writing task 1, writing task 2, where you write a conclusion at the end of your writing, your overall statement looks like what you can conclude by just merely looking at the graph. You know, the end of a thing from the beginning thereof. You can see that this is a graph, and this graph is telling you maybe the number of females that had ectopic pregnancies in between the year 2010 and 2020. And you have different numbers fluctuating on your graph, okay? Your overall statement from looking at that graph, you should be able to see the exact difference in all of the years. Probably there's one with that is higher, there's one that is the lowest, okay? There's one that maybe was excessively, a particular year, the rate or the number fluctuated so much. So from your graph, you can write an overall statement in that kind of graph, for instance, that you can see that in 2018, okay, the numbers were more. In 2020, it was reduced, okay? You know, in that kind of a graph, there will be their age range, for instance. They say between the, if you have the one for between 20 years to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 35. Let's take those three. And we now have year 2010 to year 2020. And in year 2010, the number for those that were 35 was highest. In 2020, the number for those that were 20 years and 2025 was lowest or was highest. And then you see that all over this graph, there are some spectacular things that you can note. This is what will form your overall statement. God's gift to KJ. I know you must have read our rule from the Telegram group. If you come in here, you should have your microphone muted and your video on. You distract us and you stop our class, I will take you out of the class. This is a new year. If your video is not on for whatever reason, I will take you out and I will block you from coming to the class. All right. So your overall statement is gotten or is realized, okay, from what you can see at a glance. You can conclude that this is the way this graph is. At a glance at this graph, I could see that overall, the number for ages 25 to 30 years, okay, was highest, although there were fluctuations in some years. Maybe it was on and off. It started off very high, in the middle at some point high, at some point it was low, and then it kept going and up. But at the end of the year, I could see that it was still highest. Your overall statement is what you can conclude. Unlike your writing task 1, unlike writing task 2, your writing task 1 has a conclusion from the beginning. Now, when you tell me an overall statement, when you give me an overall statement and as your examiner, you say that it was highest for this, and although there were fluctuations and all, I am going to be looking out for 1, the fluctuations that you mentioned. 2, I'll be on the lookout to see that indeed it was actually the highest. And then I'll look in your overview where you will mention the numbers that made it the highest or the percentage that made it the highest. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Yeah, it does. So if you have an introduction and there's no overall statement, your introduction is not complete. In your introduction, you have a paraphrase of the question prompt and an overall statement. That is all. Don't go about speaking English that will put you in trouble. Get me the synonyms for the words that were used in your question prompt. Paraphrase that question prompt using those synonyms. Get an overall statement, and your introduction is done. Do we understand? Yeah, we do understand. Thank you for understanding. Yes. This takes us to the overview. The overview is where the key features of the given task are discussed in details. Tell them in a class. Although the content of an overview is determined by the type of task that you are given, however, there are 2 sentences generally for an overview, irrespective of the question type. I mean, there are 2 paragraphs. There are 2 paragraphs generally, irrespective of the question type. Your overview should not be more than 2 paragraphs. Okay? Overall, the writing task 1 has 3 paragraphs in all. That is your introduction, overview paragraph 1, overview paragraph 2. At the end, the structure of the writing task 1 is 3 paragraphs. Does anyone have any question on this? Do you understand up until this point that writing task 1, whether it is graph, whether it is map, whether it is a process graph, it has just 3 paragraphs. Do you understand to this point? Do you know what makes up the 3 paragraphs? Introduction, overview, and your overview is 2 paragraphs. Paragraphs 1 and paragraphs 2, giving you 3 paragraphs at the end of the day. Yes. Cynthia, what is your question?
Okay, for the tax 1, I thought it's 4 paragraphs, the introduction, the overall statements, and probably if you're having like maybe 2 graphs or so, then you give detail of one particular, the first graph, and then detail of the second graph, making it 4
That's what you used to think, right?
That's yes, ma'am. And that's what people have been telling me that.
Okay, for the benefit of this class, it is 3 paragraphs. And your introduction and your overall statement are all in 1 paragraph. Okay? You paraphrase, full stop, overall, comma, continue your writing. Don't bring it down. If you paraphrase and there is space to take your overall on the same line, please continue overall, comma, write your overall, what you've noted on an overall look at the graph or the map or whatever you are writing on. For the purpose of this class, for the purpose of writing task 1, and for the purpose of you passing your IELTS writing task 1, please, overall and introduction are 1 paragraph. Overview is where you have 2 paragraphs, and then paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. Okay, when you have 2 graphs, 1 graph goes into paragraph 1, the other graph goes in for paragraph 2. When you have a process graph, when we get to them, we will do them one after the other. When we have a process question, all right, you get a midpoint, take one part into 1 paragraph, take the lower part into another paragraph, giving you your 2 paragraphs. When you have 2 maps, 1 map in 1 paragraph, the other in another paragraph. When you have 2 pie charts, the same thing is what you are expected to do. When you have a bar chart, you are expected to write about 1 variable in 1 paragraph and write about the other variable in the next paragraph for your overview. But your overall statement and your introduction are in 1 paragraph. Does it make sense to any of you here? Do you now understand? So I don't expect anybody in this class tonight to say that I thought, stop thoughting. Does any word exist like that? Stop thinking like that. There's no I thought, because your examiner will not come and ask you, okay, what do you think? They will mark what they see. Oh. It's what they see they will mark. And you will want to write this exam once. Okay? Except you want to write twice. If you want to write twice, don't worry. Just come and dash me the first morning. Then you can now go and do it the second time. Okay? All right. Any other question? Chinwe, you were raising your hand. Yes. What is your question?
Please, ma, can you come again? Concerning overview, I want to know what it entails. What am I expected to write under overview? I know it comprises of 2 paragraphs.
Okay, so what did I say you should write? What do you understand? So I know where to start from.
Okay, you said if we have maybe 2 charts, maybe 2 bar charts, we'll discuss one in 1 paragraph, the other one in the 3rd paragraph. Then, okay, what if I have one chart?
And I said you will discuss one variable in 1 paragraph and discuss the other variable in the next paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah? Do you understand now?
Yes, ma.
Perfect. Can we move?
Yes, ma. Thank you.
Who again has a question? Any other question, please, ma? If we have 3 variables in 1 bar chart, now how do we make it 2 paragraphs? Do you have an example of this? So that I'll show you. Obviously, you don't know what variable is. Now, when you have a question with many items on them, like you have a pie chart and it's divided into 8 parts. You know, pie chart is over 360, Abby, 360 degree. And then you have different percentages allocated to different items on the pie chart, isn't it? Now, it's for that person that asked that question and for any other person that is confused. Victoria Suberu, can you bring your hand down now? Your hand has been up since. So, if you have many items in 1 pie chart or bar
Good day,
chart.
ma.
Good evening. You will get a dividing point. If you are patient enough and you follow, we will get to each of these questions like we did before. Each of these questions, the question types, like in the course of this class, we are going to discuss bar charts, pie charts, graphs, what else? Name them, process graphs, maps. We will discuss, we'll take them and see the samples, and we will discuss them in the class, so that you will know how to tackle all of the question types. Do you understand? What we are doing now is more like a general overview of the writing task 1. So you should know that whatever question type you have 3 paragraphs. That's my aim at this present time. Know you have 3 paragraphs. 1 is your introduction and overall statement together. 2 paragraphs are gotten from your overview. And this overview, it depends, the information in the overview is dependent on the kind of question that you are tackling. Can we leave it at that and move? Yeah? Can we at least leave it on that and move? That's for Victoria Suberu. Victoria, can we move so that you get to understand this in the course of the teaching? Yeah? If
Yes,
not, we will spend time here and you'll find out that I will go and bring a question type and we will start solving questions before we even get the explanation, which I think is not a good method of teaching.
Yes, ma'am.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, I was saying that your overview is 2 paragraphs. So generally, the writing task 1 has 3 paragraphs in all, irrespective of the question type. Paragraph 1 is introduction, while the 2nd and 3rd paragraphs, whose content varies depending on the question type, carries information about the overview of the entire task. In the course of your writing task 1, you will find that there are times you have to combine data. So combining data, you must learn to combine two or more categories to reduce the total number of words that you have to write. And that's where your question is a bit, we are going to answer it somehow in a way, Victoria. If you learn to combine data, you will now know how to bring in these variables that are in your pie chart or in your bar graph into different sentences. Remember that a paragraph is not one sentence. Different sentences make up that paragraph. So you will combine this data, you will bring them together, and you'll be able to write on them in such a way that there is what we call free flow and a cohesion. There's like a flow between the work that you are writing on, okay, between whatever that you're doing. When you also combine your data, it shows that you understand what you're doing, and it's a good way to write complex sentences and increase your score for grammar. Remember I said sentence formation in your grammatical range and accuracy. So when you are able to combine data, you have more complex sentences than simple sentences, because simple sentences put together with the use of cohesive devices, linking words, verbs, and all that will give you complex sentences. Your IELTS examiner is on the lookout for complex sentences because it shows that you know what you're doing, and it makes more sense that when you have Obi went to school, Obi was hungry, Obi did not go out to play. If I have Obi went to school, okay, but he was hungry and could not go out to the playground, that is more complex than Obi went to school, full stop. Obi was hungry, full stop. Do you understand? Because in the course of you writing on these variables, you find out that you need words to link them together. And the use of these words that the use of these words shows that you've got good vocabulary. At the end of the day, you are giving yourself good score for your lexical resource, your grammatical range and accuracy, and your cohesion. And when you are able to write this from A to Z, you increase your score for the task achievement. You see how it joins together to make sense, and it helps the examiner to mark and gives you a good band at the end of the day. So for you to have a good band score, everything must be in place. You make use of your brain so that you can get your score and just go away. All right? While a static task requires you to use past tense or even present tenses, and to also compare vocabularies in describing similarities and differences, a change over time task expects you to use past tense, sometimes future tense, verbs, noun phrases to describe the trends. Change over time. Remember, I was talking about that. Change over time, something that happened over a period of time. So you use words like verbs and all these noun phrases to describe the changes that have taken place in this period of time. But for a static task, it expects you to use present or past. If you are using present, good, but you are discussing it in the noun. For instance, if I say the students that attended English class in 2010, that is what? A static task. If I say the above graph is giving information on the number of students that attended English class from 2010 to 2020, what is that? It's a change over time task, because you have some other things to compare, to contrast, to see similarities in the trend, to see differences in the trend of events, in the attendance of these students over this period of years. That's a change over time period. Okay, but if I'm saying English class now, the number of students, it means I'm going to be listing the number of students. Okay, I may be talking about the time they all came in. I may be talking about the aspect of the class that they love the most and all of that. But if I'm discussing a change over time task, I may just be talking about the years and the numbers according to how they change. Maybe a certain, maybe two years had similar numbers, similar attendance. 3 years, or one was very high at some point and then it went down at the other time. So a change over time expects you to use more of noun phrases, you use verbs, and then you use future and past tense to describe the changes, the trends that has happened over a period of time. Okay, so I said a noun phrase. Somebody will ask me what is a noun phrase. Now I will not tell you. I won't tell you what a noun phrase is. What is a noun phrase? Tosin. Tosin, what is a noun phrase? What is a noun? If you give me primary one definition, I will not take it.
A noun is a part of speech that is used to describe a person or an animal.
Thank you. You are trying to make it look more mature, David. A noun is a name of a person, places, animal, or things.
Then a noun phrase is like part it can't stand on its own.
It can't stand on its own. A noun phrase is either a pronoun or any group of words that can be replaced by a pronoun. For example, when I say they, as in T-H-E-Y, okay, or when I say cars, and then I say the cars, they is a pronoun, isn't it? Yes. If I had Victor and Isaac, is that not name of persons?
Yes.
Now I have Victor and Isaac went to church last Sunday. And I want to say they went, I don't want to say it like saying their name, Victor and Isaac again. I say they went to church last Sunday, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So now they has taken the place of the names. If I say cars, cars is what? It's a thing and it's a noun. Cars is a thing and is a noun. So if I say the cars, what is that? The cars. Doesn't make sense. It can't stand on its own. So the car is a noun phrase. But car is just a noun. Isaac and Victor, they are nouns. They went is a noun phrase. Where did they go? They went is a noun phrase. They is a pronoun. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? Okay, so as you can see in these sentences that we're trying to create, noun phrases cannot stand on their own. But you are expected to make use of these noun phrases, okay, to give your work clearer understanding. When you use these noun phrases, you join them with the right words. At the end of the day, you have good sentences that are either complex or compound. There should be more of complex sentences, and your examiner will see that you've got enough vocabularies. You know, the linking words that you have used, the cohesive devices that you used in between to join these your noun phrases together has given you a score for your vocabularies. At the end of the day, the good sentence structure that you have given you a score for what? For your lexical resource. It has also given you a score for what again? Grammatical range and accuracy, because you have spoken good English, you have spoken good grammar, or you have written good grammar. At the end, you find out that everything is interwoven and interlinked for you to have your score that you desire. Do you understand? So if you are writing a tax 1, what are the steps? I outlined them. And these steps are going to be used in every question type with different contents in those different steps. What are the steps to writing a tax 1 question? Number 1 is that you must read the task. Some of us are so bad with reading. Don't worry, I do it too. I don't read too much. I read in between the line and I try to just give it a meaning and I go my way. It doesn't always work. Today I had to do an e-learning on phone for one of my competencies, COVID-19 vaccine and all that. And I was doing this e-learning. It was too much work. So I dodged the e-learning itself. I just went straight to the assessment. I went straight to the assessment, and little things, some sentences that were hidden in between, little things like adjunct and a few other things like that. They now picked those things because they knew that, I'm sure they knew that some people will not read in between the lines. So they brought them out in the questions. And I didn't know what they were. To some extent, I didn't know. I kept scoring below the mark. My plan was, once I passed the assessment, I would just go to the main work itself, open it, click next, click next, click next, click next, and just finish. Because if you don't open it or finish it, you can't see the green mark. And if the green mark is not there, you have not done it and you can't get that competency. So I plan to do the assessment and go. I did it 4 times. I just said, you know what, Joy, just go back and read this thing. I went back and I started reading it. I read it and I did it once and I got 100%. And I look at myself, I say, now look at it. I dodged this thing, I wasted time. Each of them, the assessment was not less than 10-15 minutes for me to do. Now, I did it 4 times, that's about an hour. The whole reading and the assessment that I did before I passed did not take me 30 minutes. And I was like, God, what is wrong with people? So you see, some of us don't read in between the lines. You don't read the question. Oh, I've seen this type of question before. When I was studying. Meanwhile, there's a difference. There was an interview and they went and they wrote a question out for people. And at the end of the question, there was something in brackets. They said, the thing said, if you understand, do not attempt this question. And all the people wrote something. They wrote only one person that read that part. You know, like they'll set a question for you now, and the next thing under that question, small in bracket, they just wrote, if you understand, do not accept. Somebody can even read it and say, is if you understand, I still attempt it. That's what the person is seeing. They wrote, if you understand, do not attempt this question. And they went ahead and wrote, it was only one person, and the person got the job. And the reason why the person got the job was because they paid attention to the details. You need to pay attention to details when you are reading, especially for IELTS. If you don't, you will have problem in your reading and in your writing. I mean, speaking, there's no problem. In your reading and writing, if you are the type that does not pay attention to details, I tell you, you can write 100 times and you will still pass. But I pray that's not your portion. You have to work for it. So read the task, then paraphrase the keywords. Number 2, identify type of information and task. Identify the type of information and the task that you are giving. Now, this task that I'm giving, is this a process graph? Is this a map? Is this a line graph? Is this a what again? A bar chart? Is this what again? A pie chart? You need to identify it, number 1. Okay, now I've identified the type of question. Is this question about numbers or is it about words? Is it about percentages? You need to know. Because if you are using percentages to write when they have just used numbers, you are on your own. You are giving them false information. You are sure to fail that test. All right? So identify the type of information that is there. You need to know whether the task is about numbers or percentages. You need to know the type of data that you have been given. Then the next thing, number 4, is that you should identify the highlights. Identify the highlights. What are the highlights? When I say highlights, what do I mean? Elizabeth Sunday. What is highlight?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. You are welcome to class. Highlight.
Highlight is like when you notify a sentence or make a sentence or a word important to notice.
Good. Make it noticeable. That's what I wanted to hear. Not when you identify anything. Just make that thing noticeable. Now, when they say you should identify a highlight, what do they say? What do they mean, Elizabeth?
I want you to say that word or that sentence.
They want you to see what is important. What is that thing that is like looking at you? So what are highlights? Highlights can be lowest numbers in a thing, highest numbers, striking features, you know, in a graph or somewhere. Those are the things that you should highlight. The very important points. All right, the very notable points that you can see, something that you can't just do without in that task per time. Those are the highlights. So you need to identify the highlights. You know why? These highlights are the ones you are going to join together using sentences and words and adverbs and adjectives and all the linking words and cohesive devices. You put them in between those highlights so that you can get your sentences, form them into paragraphs and get out. Then at the end, next to it, after you have identified these highlights, is that you should work out a summary mentioning your key points. Work out a summary mentioning your key points. Remember that I said that your overall statement comes like a conclusion from the beginning of your writing, isn't it? So if you have done this, it makes it easy for you to have an overall statement. This thing is something you need to do in your brain within 2-3 minutes, you are done. And you can't have that in your brain, or you can't do that except you have been practicing. When you have worked out an overall summary, a summary mentioning your key point, then you can plan the structure by grouping the data together. This is where if you have pie chart, you have pie chart, okay, what am I going to write in paragraph 1? Which thing and which thing can I join together? Okay, this is highest for this year. This is lowest for this year. Can I bring the two of them together like this and form one sentence? Can I bring this together and then join this sentence together with these words and get this paragraph? That's what your brain should be clicking and thinking about. So you plan the structure of the group of the writing by grouping the data. Next to it, second to the last step, is for you to write your answer, and then you proofread and make corrections as time permits. You need to proofread your work. If you don't proofread your work, you can't make corrections. And if you don't make corrections, you submit your work with many errors, and at the end of the day, the error reduces your marks. After all your writing and jubilation, thinking that you have given them marking scheme, at the end, they tell you to come back and give them another marking scheme. Do you understand? Up to this point, any question? If you are just joining the class, please don't ask any question because you don't understand what we are saying. Up to this point, any question? Ndidi Amaka, any question? Beauty Nkumbula, any question? No question. All right, you need to have your video on and your audio muted. You don't have to put your audio on, please, because it's going to distract the class. All right? I'm the most senior person here in this class. I'm the only one that is permitted to have my audio and everything on, and nobody can question me. Yes. Okay, so we move. All right. Having discussed the structure, having discussed the steps to take in the writing task 1, irrespective of the kind of question that you see, we said you read the task, paraphrase keywords, identify the type of information and the task that you're being given, identify your highlights, work out a summary mentioning your key points, you plan the structure by grouping the data, then you write your answer. When you write your answer, please create time, 1 minute, 2 minutes, to proofread your work and make corrections, dot your I's, cross your T's, and put all your marks where they ought to be. All right? So what are the types of questions that we see? The type of questions, types of task in writing task 1. Number 1. Before we go to number 1, who can identify them? Everybody get on your writing pad. Go right to everybody. Click on everyone. Click on write to everyone. This to everyone. And give me the different types of writing task 1 questions that you know. 1, 2, go. 1 minute. You have 1 minute. Is anybody writing IELTS General here? This is not a general class. This is an academic class. I did mention it at the beginning, didn't I? For IELTS General, the task 1 has to do with letter writing, okay? And there are different types of letter writing. And there are about 5 of them. I teach general too, but not in this class. So if you are doing general, you are not supposed to be in this class, okay? That is for the person that is asking if IELTS task 1 for general. If you are doing general, Raskings, Ihan, in Mabel, you are not supposed to be in this class if you are doing generals. All right? And if you're a health worker seeking relocation to the United States, to Canada, to wherever, to the United Kingdom, please, you are to write academic and not general, except you are going for studies to Canada or US. In the UK, if you are coming whether to work or to school, it is academic. The difference is in the score, the band scores that they want. For your general or your schools, it's less than 7.0. But for your work, it's 7.0 minimum. All right? I can see many types here. Okay, graph, pie chart, line graph, map, process graph. Okay, line graph, process graph, pie chart, and bar chart. Map tables, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more is missing. What about flow charts or floor maps? Nobody is mentioning that. Fantastic. It's a good thing you know most of them. That shows that you have come across them and you should be able to solve those questions. There are about 7 types of questions that you can find in writing task 1. This includes line graphs, bar charts, pie charts, maps, process diagram, all right, tables, and floor maps. It depends on what you find. The good thing is you can only see one in an exam. So do yourself a favor, familiarize yourself with how to write on all of them so that whatever you find, you'll be able to write on it. Is that okay? All right, so for writing task 1, you may be given a single or a double diagram to compare. For single diagrams, they are easier and they are more straightforward to write as you have only one variable to report on. But for double graphs or charts or diagram with 2 charts, you can structure the body of your report either with a paragraph for each or by category of either chart, of each of the charts, okay? Structuring the essay with a paragraph for each is easier, and then you have 2 clear body paragraphs for them. Here, you only focus on the highest and the lowest figures for each chart, and then you compare them. The comparison is usually as you go along. And it happens in your overall summary, your overall statement from the beginning, okay? Where you can compare the variables from one graph and the other. You compare it and you say overall chart this and that has this and this and this, and that's it in your overall statement from the beginning. But in the body of your writing, which is your overview, where you have 2 paragraphs, you can now write on one variable here and then on the other charts at the other side. That gives you your 3 paragraphs for writing task 1. When you want to structure by categories, this one allows you to do more comparisons, but it can also result in a better coverage, okay, of the data you are reporting on. However, it can be difficult for the reader, the examiner, to see your structure if not carefully written out and outlined. It may be difficult to also get a logical body paragraph, therefore resulting in one whole big paragraph. At the end of the day, you are short by the structure. So it is advisable to use the first way of structuring practice with it. You need to keep practicing with it, and then you get used to it for yourself. At the end of the day, what you are used to, having practiced over a long period of time, will help you to make it easier so that you can write and get your score as you desire it. There are many mistakes that we make, but you need to improve on these mistakes. I listed them out, just a few of them here, because we're generally talking about writing task 1 One of the major mistakes that some of us make in this exam is poor time management. I had a friend who had scored very high in reading, listening and speaking, but her writing was 5.5. If it was 6.0, I would have encouraged her to remark. But with 5.5, there's no need for a remark because they will mark you down instead of marking you up. And even if they give you a 0.5, it's not still giving you your required band. This is because of poor time management. Remember that the 1 hour that you have is for writing task 1 and 2. So you need to be very careful. Whatever you're doing for task 1, it has to be within 20 minutes so that you can have good time management for writing task 2 as well. And at the end, you have enough time or ample time for you to go through your work, cross your T's and dot your I's, put your marks where they ought to be so you don't end up writing errors and reducing your mark for yourself. Another issue is with rushing to answer the question without clearly reading the task. I did give us an example of myself, what I did and how I wasted so much time. Now, if you rush to answer the question without first understanding what this question is asking you to do, you end up wasting so much time, okay, and then you don't answer the question correctly. Too many errors, frequency of errors. When the errors are too many of us, especially from my side, have a problem of English, grammar. And then it's so bad that we speak it and we say it. So we call low bands in our speaking and in our writing. All right, speaking and writing are very similar. All of the tasks, the band descriptors we talked about, they apply in your speaking as well. It's just that here you are writing it, but in speaking you are saying it. As you talk, the use of synonyms to express yourself, the use of those words, however, although, therefore, and all that, the vocabularies, they are also very useful in your speaking test. So if you have a good writing culture, you'll definitely be able to speak well, irrespective of your tongue, your mother tongue. Even the examiners, they do understand that some people have issues with mother tongue and nobody marks you wrong for mother tongue, but for wrong sentences, for for errors of maybe spellings and all that, for errors of wrong grammar, wrong grammar. They mark you low for those. Now, when you have problems of time management, frequency of errors, you rush to answer questions, what do? You learn the structure and grading of the test so that you can know the band descriptors and what they stand for. That way you're careful when you are writing. Now, you need to improve on your writing skills by practice, okay? Then you practice, and you practice. You need to do loads of practice. Learn to practice and receive feedback. So when we come to the class and we say, this is what we are doing today, you need to do it because you can't say you know it in your mind. It's until you write, you participate, and we make corrections in class. That is when you will be able to pick these corrections and feedback and improve on yourself. So when you get this feedback, effect them and improve on your work. We still have about 45 minutes. So I'm going to pick one thing to talk about in the whole of this writing tasks that we have discussed so that it will not just be talking. We are going to discuss about the bar charts. Before we move into bar charts, any questions so far? I have a question. Raise your hand. Does anyone have any question? No questions. That's good. But remember that when an examiner or when a teacher is teaching and you don't have questions, two things. What are the two things?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
When you were talking about steps in writing task 1, you talked about paraphrase. What did you say we should paraphrase?
Did I give any example?
No, you just said paraphrase. I didn't get it.
Were you here when I talked about joy, meaning excitement and happiness?
Yes.
You paraphrase the question prompt.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
Okay? Paraphrase the question that you have been given by identifying the keywords and doing what? Using synonyms to say this statement in a way that you have not changed the meaning of the statement. Do you understand? Good. So we can move. When you don't have question, it's either the examiner or the teacher has taught so well and you understand, or you don't understand. So two things are eminent. Which of them? Do you understand? If you understand, let's see your hand so that when the questions start coming, you won't take me back to this one. I will not explain it again. Yes, Madam Vera, do you understand the class? Okay, Chi. Duru, do you understand what we have been saying? Or I'm just blabbing? Esther Nwokeke and Temitayo Olowo Onile Damilola, if I take you out of this class, you won't like it. You all have your audios off. I mean, you have your videos off. If I take you out, you won't be able to join the class. That's one of our rules. If you are coming to the class, please ensure you have your videos on. If for whatever reason, maybe in a class, in a bus, or you are in a place you don't want your face shown, we don't have any problems with that. You can join the class on YouTube, okay, and watch so you don't miss out. Stella, what is your question, please? I've asked you to unmute, yeah. Okay. Go ahead, what is your question?
Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Okay. Sorry, I'm being too forward because my exam is very close. I want to ask if I can write with pencil or pen because we talked about to check, dot our eyes and put our commas. So I don't know if I use pen, do I cancel maybe where I saw a mistake? So
you're not going to cancel.
Write with.
I wrote with, I don't know about others. I've heard people say they wrote with pencil. Some wrote with a pen, and some passed and some failed, not because it's pen or pencil. I wrote with pen. When I wrote my exams, I did write with pen, and I wrote in Abuja, and I didn't write twice, which means that I passed. So if you use pen, you can pass the exam so long as you give them the right information. If you use pencil, you can pass the exam so long as you give the right information. You can use pencil and still fail the exam. I think the reason why some people say they should use pencil is because if you make mistake, you can easily erase it. But if you are writing, are you coming back? Are you writing with the mind that you are going to come back? I'm talking about you being able to read and put I where it's not there, put comma where it's not there. You need to learn to practice so much that as you're writing, your work is flowing, your grammar is in order, and you don't have to cancel anything. And if by any means you need to cancel at all, she's off from the class. If by any means you need to cancel at all, just cross one line. If there's space on top, okay, you can now write what you want to write, or you can strike it out completely. But for whatever reason, don't say the introduction I wrote is not correct. I have space. Let me go down and put my introduction there. You're on your own, no. Damilola, what is your question, please? Your hand is up. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, yeah, my question is, you were saying something about the conclusion. Yeah.
There's no conclusion in writing tax 1.
Okay, you can work out a summary mentioning your key points.
Yes, please.
Yeah. In the summary, which parts are we to do? Are we summarizing what the map is about or what the task is about?
That will come in your overall statement. You are not we are looking at this. I'm talking about what you should click in your brain, like steps that should help you. I'm not saying you are writing these things down. Do you understand? Okay. I'm saying that in your head, work out an overall summary of what is the conclusion of this map. Okay, so this map that is before me, I have seen that females that started smoking was less than the male, but at the end of the year, I saw that the male, okay, has the female has increased over the males, although there were fluctuations. At some point, the males were highest, and then at the other point, that of females became highest. Or I saw that in this map, from the beginning of this map, from the beginning of what I can see in this line graph, female smokers were more, and there were still more at the end. So it's like you are working out this overall summary in your head. You are like thinking, so okay, in the whole of this map, what exactly happened? Can I summarize this map? Okay, so this one moved from this point to this point. Okay, this variable decreased, that variable increased. Then you will have a summary, and from that summary, you can have an overall statement. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Who else is raising their hand? Who else is asking a question, please? Are we done with the questions? Clarity? Elizabeth, what is your question?
Okay, ma, please, you've partially answered what I wanted to ask when Damilola asked, but I still want a little explanation. You said we should learn to combine. Is it when we see a question and we try to combine our words, or in the paragraph? I just want to understand.
It's in the paragraph that you do the combination. Like when you have several variables, you learn to bring this variable and this variable together. You use lexical resource, your words, the cohesive devices, to join them together. You are joining different variables together. You are combining different data. That's what it means, okay? So that you can have more than maybe 2-3 different information in one paragraph. That way you'll be able to cover all your variables, even when you have them many, in a pie chart, for example. Do you understand? That's what it means. Yes, next question. Finish? Questions, c'est fini. Okay, thank God. All right, so do we all understand now to this point? Because we are going to be talking about bar graphs. Bar graph is one of the question types that you will find in writing task 1. A bar graph or a bar chart represents categorical data with comparisons of distinct variables that can be horizontally or vertically represented or plotted. In general, they are rectangular bars with length, okay, and height. Length or height, it depends on which way, or even width, like from so and so time to so and so time. Depends on what they plot on the paper. For you to answer a bar chart question and score good marks, you need to make use of their specific variables. So there are different, specific vocabularies. Vocabularies for describing a bar chart can be used to describe a line graph sometimes. So in a bar chart, when there is growth and increase and there's an upward trend, you use words like increase, you use words like surge, you use words like climb or soar or leap or rocket. When there's a reduction, a deduction, a downward trend, you use words like decrease, okay, like a plunge, like reduce, sink, slip back, and then drop or plummet. Okay, when you're using words like plummet, for instance, among these words, it is the strongest, and it means that there's a quick fallback and it went a very long way. A plummet means a rapid reduction, very rapid, noticeable reduction. That's what a plummet means. When you use words like drop, it means that there are small decrease. You know, drops of water is tiny. There's just a little drop, and then it increased, then dropped a little bit, dropped to so and so. So when you use this word drop, when to use drop is when you see that it's just a tiny decrease. that occurred. When you say slip back, okay, is that maybe in the course of this line graph or this bar chart, it was at a level, then it went up and up, then it went back, it went down. It means that it has slipped back. The word slip back means that it went down to maybe how it was before, after an increase. If there was no increase, you can't use that word slip back. For you to use the word slip back means that there was an increase from the original place where it was, but there's now a decrease that has taken it back to where it was before. Do we get it? So for the word drop and dip, they are frequently used as noun. For instance, a slight dip or a sudden drop. We have adjectives also that can be used for you to describe this type of task. The adjectives are a selection of some words that are most common. Okay, I'll just give you some that are most common adjectives and adverbs that are used for trend language. But please be very, very careful with them. Make sure that you make use of adjectives with nouns and adverbs with proverbs, verbs. Adjectives should be used with nouns and adverbs should be used with verbs. I'm taking us back to English language in primary school now.
Hello. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why are niggers black?
Because niggers are black.
On God, my nigga. You want some bread or what? What's happening? Hello.
Is he still here?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
I've removed him from the class. Okay. Can we continue?
Yes, ma, we can. By him.
I think that's the guy that hacked the account the other time. Anyways, you know, when you on Telegram, when you people keep asking for send us link, you send link to people, you share link anyhow. Once they join and register, they will automatically come into the class, and this is what will result. They'll distract us, they'll distract me and you, and our time is going at the end of the day. At least thank God he asked this question and he was taken out. So yes, I was talking about adverbs, the use of adverbs and the use of adjectives. When you use adverbs, make sure you're using them with verbs, and when you use adjectives, ensure that you tag them along with nouns, adjectives and nouns, adverbs and verbs. For example, where we have a significant rise, significant rise. Okay, the word rise, significant, qualifies the word rise, isn't it? Significant is telling us that the rise is significant. The rise here, that word significant, is qualifying the word rise. That is an adjective and a noun. Now, when I say it rose significantly, that is an adverb and a verb. The verb and the adverb go together. The noun and the adjective go together. When you want to write, still use significant to qualify rise, and you say a significantly rise, it is wrong. Okay? Now, I'll just give you a few examples of some adjectives and then adverbs and how to use them. You tell me how we can use them. I've done one. When I say dramatic, the word dramatic and shift. As per adjective, Linda, how should it be used? The word dramatic is an adjective.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Adjective, so you should use it with verbs and verbs.
Yes. So what tell me a phrase with dramatic and shift. How do you say
Hello?
it? How do you say it? How do you use dramatic and shift together? Give me an example. When you want to use those two words together, you can say a dramatic shift, isn't it? You can't say dramatically shift, can you? That's an error, isn't it? That's not an error. But when you want to use it as an, if you want to say the word dramatic as an adverb, you have to say it's dramatically. And you cannot say a dramatically shift. You can say that it shifted dramatically. Do you understand? This is just simple grammar. I don't want to go too deep into it so that you will not think that you can't write without them. Now, adjectives like dramatic, significant, sudden, substantial, sharp, consistent, steady, constant, okay, slight, gradual, marginal. Those are the kind of adjectives that you can use to describe shifts, all right, or changes, increases or decreases that has happened in your downward or upward trends. If you want to use them as adjectives, as adverbs, you must use them with the ly words. That is, instead of saying a significant shift, you now say shift or changed significantly. So things like words like significantly, dramatically, suddenly, substantially, sharply instead of sharp, or consistently, marginally, gradually, slightly, and all that, they can be used to describe your line graph and your bar chart. When you are writing the report on a bar chart, you must follow the steps. Number one, you read and understand the question. You need to note whether the question is about numbers or percentages. Then you go ahead to underline keywords. Okay? Underline keywords. I saw the guy coming in a different name. He's not here. He's here. I know.
Loads of money, cause I got carrots. Ride with loads of money, cause I got carrots. So I call Bud up, tell him finna air it. No service. Ice cream sprinkles in the chain. You know you can't hang if you ain't game. Bitch, I murder, stay up in your lane. Fuck it, take that hit for if you ain't got no aim. All these niggas rockin' with the gang. Chain. The Jeep truck took off on the Mustang. The fucking take the ride for if you wasn't on the thing. You have two fathers, motherfucker. Your father and your father in tonight. Your father and your father.
We'll gradually take control. Okay, so when you are writing your report, you read and understand the question. You need to note whether the question is about numbers or percentages. You need to underline your keywords, and when you underline the keywords, you get synonyms to rephrase the question prompt. All right? Then you paraphrase in your own words using these identified synonyms, the vocabularies that you want to replace them with. The next step is for you to brainstorm your key points for the answers. That is, you look for the lowest figures, the highest figures, the ones that are the same, they maintained all through, they didn't change, okay? Then you look for variables that, like I said, remained unchanged, variables that changed slightly, those that maintained their number, those that were highest, and those that are lowest. Now, if you have a plotted graph, those that started off low and ended up, high, you need to take note of all those variables. Next is for you to work out an overall summary. You that asked the question about working out an overall summary, is for you to have, like you group your data, and at the end you look at this thing at a glance and you're like, okay, what conclusion can I make from just merely looking at this? You work out an overall summary. Usually there should be 1 or 2 points that you will mention, and that will be mentioned in your overall statement. Then plan the structure of your answer by grouping your data, which means you are bringing in, okay, what I have 3 paragraphs. Already the introduction and the overall statement makes up my introduction. The paraphrase and overall statement makes up my introduction. What variables am I going to write about in my second body paragraph? That is in the overview. In the first paragraph for the overview, what am I going to write? At one point, should I have a dividing line? What variables, what numbers, what things should come here and which one should go there? You need to work that out in a matter of seconds. Go ahead and write your answer. Get at least for yourself 2-3 minutes to proofread your work and correct your errors. Then you can submit your work. Any question? Any question before we do our sample? Any question? No question. Now I think we've done this question before, but we can still do it because I can't even see many of you in class. Get on your writing pad. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we will solve this question now before we end the class. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? You can see my screen, right? Who cannot see my screen? Nobody. Perfect. You have, this is not a class, whatever. This is not an IELTS test. But we're going to have the same time. Although I don't want to overshoot, but obviously because of all the distractions, we'll have to overshoot a few minutes, all right? The question prompt for this, I'm saying it now, please write it down. The question prompt for this is The given bar chart illustrates the data on the rate of divorce in Finland and Sweden. From the year 2011 to 2015. Highlight and summarize the relevant information. You must write not less than 150 words, and please, not more than 180 words. Not less than 150, not more than 180. We have gotten the question. Now listen to the instruction. You can go ahead and be writing. Now for this question, write an introduction, write your overview. 3 paragraphs. Introduction, remember it's carrying your what? Overall statement and paraphrase. The overall statement and the paraphrase are what form your introduction. Okay? Then your overview should be 2 paragraphs. However you want to do it, we have discussed it in this class, that you can decide to do one variable and then the other variable. For instance, you can take Sweden and take Finland. Okay, discuss them separately. I think that way is good. But if you want to discuss highest for this, highest for that, it's up to you entirely. Like I already explained both ways to you. I have given you the words to use. Okay, for downward trends, for upward trends, we have discussed that now. This is 8:46. That's 9:46 Nigeria time. You have 15 minutes to write this. Please, don't send introduction, then send paragraph 1, paragraph 2. No, write everything and send it at once under your name. Now, in bracket, write how many words. Count your words and write it in brackets. Okay? Count your words, write it in brackets. Let's see the number of words you have used. And your time starts now. Tosin, don't ask any question. I'll leave it on the screen. I'm still having my cat. This China food. Chinko. You don't be listening. Keep quiet. Family to come record. Post your work. Post your work. Okay. That's right. Have we finished? Has everyone finished? Let me start so I don't miss out anyone. If you are working in Canada and the US, please, you need to know specific things that those things require. I am not doing Canada or US migration, so I know nothing. I know next to nothing, okay, about those places. I've answered the question on pen or pencil. I think I did say that we should send our answer here. Sorry, Nkubula, we were doing a class work. I remember saying it that everybody should type to everyone in class. I don't know why somebody will type the work and send it to me when there is the option of everyone. Please, let's listen to instructions. Let's follow instructions. If you are writing in a notebook, it means that you are out of touch with this class. I said it that you should type it and send it to everyone. I don't understand. How else should we explain something for us to understand? Please, ma, how do we post it? I wrote mine in a notebook. You shouldn't be asking this question after I have explained how you should do it. Okay? All right. So, obviously, I have two people. I have two people. 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3. This is, good. I have 3 people now. 4, 5. Please don't post anything again. If you have not posted it, don't bother. All right, so we can have time to do what we want to do. Don't bother again, please. Now, what is the question? Somebody tell me what the question is. Elizabeth, tell me what the question is.
The question, you said we should, that the bar chart illustrates the data on the rate of divorce in Finland and Sweden from the year 2011 to 2012. So we are to highlight and summarize the relevant information. And we should write no more than 180 words or less than 150 words.
Can you tell me the exact thing I said, please, if you got it?
Yes, ma. You said highlight and summarize the relevant information. The question, he said, the green bar chart illustrates the data on the rate of divorce in Finland and Sweden from the year 2011 to 2012. Highlight and summarize the relevant information.
I'm not a computer, I'm typing. From the year 2011 to 2015.
Yes, ma'am. Highlight and summarize the relevant information.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I said not less than 150 words and not more than 180 words. Thank you very much, Ruth, Christiana, Victoria, Belinda, Adekemi. Why I'm saying thank you is the fact that you got the structure. I've not completely read what you wrote, what you sent in, but that you got the structure. Busola, is Busola still in this class? Busola, you can unmute.
Okay. Yes, ma.
How are you? Good evening.
I'm fine. Good evening, ma.
Were you here in the teaching or you joined in the middle?
No, I joined late. I joined late.
You need to go back and watch this video.
Okay.
You
Okay,
have
ma.
written completely out of what the
Okay.
class is.
Okay,
Please.
ma.
All
All
right.
right, ma.
That way you have an idea, but that way you can help yourself. Is that okay? You need to go back to the YouTube channel and watch this video.
No problem, ma. Thank you,
Thank
ma.
you very much. So Busola, that's for you.
Ma?
Ruth. Ruth, how many words did you write? Oyelade Ruth, unmute.
Yes, ma, I wrote 145.
Yeah?
145
Okay. To start with, you know you didn't meet up on that.
Yes, ma.
Meaning that you had the points, but you lack the words to put them down. That way you have scored below your recommended or below your required band. The bar chart above shows the divorce rate in two countries, Sweden and Finland, across the year 2011 to 2015. Across the years, if you must use across,
Okay.
or between, you can now say 2011 to 20, or from 2011 to 2015. Do you get the point?
Yes, ma.
Or over a period of 5 years. 2011 to 2015, is it not 5 years? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 4 years. It's 4 years, over a period of 4 years. Overall, Finland had a slight decrease in the second year and gradually increases over the following year, while Sweden had an increase in the second year and gradually. This is not an overall statement. This is not a correct overall statement. An overall statement should tell me what I can see at a glance. All right. So if I want an overall statement from this, if I Joy wants to say it, Finland overall, the rate of divorce for Finland was highest from the beginning of 2011 and still highest, all right, from this information I can get here. So Finland maintained that position, isn't it? If I want to write about Finland, I can say, although the rate fluctuated for Finland over the years, but it maintained a higher rate. Is that for Finland? This is for Finland, right? Blue is Finland. And it started higher. It started lower, actually. Yeah, it was lower, but increased and became higher. And it was highest in the year 2015. So overall, the rate for Finland increased over the years, okay, even though starting lower than Sweden, increased in 2015, it was higher. Now, in 2011 for Sweden, it was higher than Finland, but not the highest. All right. Sweden relatively was high all through. It was high all through. See from the beginning, except for year 2015, when Finland overtook, only in that year. So overall, there were higher rates of divorce in Sweden than in Finland in this period. Overall, there were higher rates of divorce in in Sweden than in Finland. Although Finland was higher than Sweden in 2015. The rate increased for Sweden throughout the year. I can take that as an overall statement. I can say that overall, Finland started off lower than Sweden at the beginning of this year's, fluctuated in between, but was highest in 2015. That's an overall statement. It's what I can see at a glance at this graph. Okay? That said, remember that from the beginning, I did mention that we should do what? Replace our keywords. I saw just a few of you changing keywords here. Divorce. What other words can we use for divorce? Marital separation. Broken marriages. All right? Okay, type in on your phone, divorce. On your phone, write synonyms for divorce. Go to Google. Oya, go to Google. Go to Google. Go to Google, type in synonyms for divorce or divorce, then synonyms. What are you seeing? Elizabeth, tell me the words you can see.
Dissolution, annulment.
Good.
Separate, disconnect.
Good.
Divide.
Okay.
Disunite. Disjoin. Split.
Good. Split. So now you see that in your quest for using synonyms, there are some synonyms that you can't use. That's one thing you should take note of. Certain synonyms, yes, they are the meaning or exact meaning of that word, but you can't use it in that context. Like divide, you can't say divide now in this case, but you can say dissolution. You can say separation, can't you? So why not use those words instead of using the same word divorce again for me? What you should do, identify keywords, write the meaning, the synonyms for these keywords, then paraphrase the question prompt. The bar chart, what else can we use for bar chart? The given diagram. The given diagram. All right. The picture above, the illustration is about the rate of marital separation in two countries, Sweden and Finland, over a period of 4 years. Saying that 4 years, please don't go and put 2015, 2011, 20 whatever in bracket. If you do it, I will cross a line. All right? So that you put one in bracket and say examiner should choose the one he wants to use. How about now? You need to be specific, okay? The what you're doing. In this kind of essay, you cannot list. You can't say firstly or secondly, thirdly. If you say firstly, you must say secondly. And when you are saying firstly, secondly, it means you are talking about the same thing. But in this context, you are not talking about the same thing, remember? You can start by saying for Sweden, while in the case of Finland. So if you had said for Sweden, you say, okay, the rate of divorce started off very high compared to that of Finland. And that should be on about 45%. For Sweden, it was about 45% at the beginning of the year, then increased rapidly in 2012 to about 48%, where it peaked. Is that not the highest for it throughout? So it peaked. When you say something peaked, that is the highest that it has obtained in that graph. And then reduced gradually over the years. In 2013 to, you can mention it, maybe you say 47. then 45 or 46, and finally obtained its highest percentage in the year 2015 at less than 40%. Now, in what I have said, you heard me use increased, significantly, then peaked. You heard me use what again? Finally, gradual, decrease. Did you not hear me say that? By the time you count these words, the adjectives and the adverbs and all of that, you find that you have about 6 or 7 in one paragraph. I have joined this together with my cohesive device. I now have a complex sentence that at the end may not even be less than 50 or 60 words. Let's say 60 words in that paragraph. Then I said, initially I said for Sweden, yeah? Then I go to my next paragraph, I said, while for Finland, it started off in 2011 lower than Sweden at about 37%, then experienced a drastic reduction, all right, in 2012 at up to, let's say 34%. Then the rate increased significantly to a little less than 40% in 2013, then gradually increased and maintained the same level for 2014 and 2015 at about 42% respectively for each, or 42% each. Now, you heard me said gradually increased, drastically reduced, significantly decreased. Okay? It peaked on where? At about that 42 or 41% is its peak. So it increased again from 2013, where it was about 38%, up to 42% in 2014 and 15 respectively, obtaining its highest score throughout the years. What have we not mentioned by this statement in this graph? What did we miss? Nothing. We didn't miss any aspect. So I've seen your writing. If what you have written is not in any way similar to what we have discussed, then you need to write it, get a similar thing for yourself. Do you understand? Make use of the cohesive devices that we have used in this class. That is why I listed them before the class started proper. Follow the structure. Make sure you have 3 paragraphs. Write this work on your own. Don't send it to me. You can write it and send it to the Telegram group. It shows that you are correcting yourself. I may not comment much on it. But if I see it and I still need you to rewrite, I may say what you are doing wrong so that you can do it correctly. But please don't write and say, at Ojonile, please vet my work. In fact, that one we even say I should not touch it. You are not sending it to anybody. So what I'm saying in essence is the choice is yours. It's entirely up to you. For this kind of task, when you see a bar chart, underline your keywords. Get synonyms for these keywords. Use the synonyms in the context that befits what you are writing. Paraphrase the question prompt using these synonyms in a way that you have not changed the meaning of the question prompt. Write an overall statement together with your paraphrase. It will give you your introduction. Write the overview by picking them one after the other. Write about one variable, picking the highest, the lowest, the one that remain unchanged, okay, and every other significant thing. Remember I said relevant. Pick them and write about it. Remember to use numbers if it is numbers, or percentages if it is percentages. I like to encourage you that when you lack words to write, put your percentage in words. That will count for you. But that does not mean you should write percentage everywhere full of percentage. I know us now. I know what we can do. So please, make sure you do this for yourself, not for me. So that when you see any bar chart, then you can do it. How many of us have Cambridge 15? Tosin, can you share Cambridge 15 with us on the Telegram group? Everybody go to Cambridge 15 test 2. Attempt the writing task 1 in test 2. Cambridge 15 test 2. The kind of question that is there is not this, but use this same structure and write on that question. In the course of the week, I may send in a bar. In fact, I'm going to send in a bar chart. At the end, now you have 3 things to do, don't you? Now you have this one to write if you want. It's up to you, seriously. I'm not going to pursue anybody. Now I can see your face very well, Victoria Suberu. I know you. Yes. Anyway, that's just by the way. Cambridge 15 test 2, the writing task 1 is an assignment. Submit it on Telegram. Follow this structure. All right. I'm sending in a bar chart work, an assignment, bar chart. Write it and submit it on Telegram. You have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 p.m. Nigeria time. Between now and Sunday, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, if you are interested, if you want to, make sure you write it and send it. For clarity's sake and for record keeping purpose, please send in the work one after the other for yourself. So I'll advise you to finish the 3 of them together and then attach the screenshots of every question to the answer. Please don't write it and share a document. Type it and send it. For those of you that did not attempt this classwork, I'm not marking it. I'm not an examiner. But a time will come in this class, if you don't participate in our class, you are not supposed to join us because you make the class boring and we don't know whether you are following us or you are not following us. So you are dragging us backwards and we will not allow that in this new year. It's completely your choice to go to the YouTube and watch. But if you come to this class, it means that you have agreed to all our terms and conditions, and that includes you doing your classwork. Thank you very much. It's been a great time talking with you. Happy New Year again. Do have a lovely, lovely evening. Good night. Keep your question. Keep it. Keep it. Chew it. Swallow it. Drink it with water. Victor Tosin. Oya, ask your question. I cannot hear you. I've asked you to, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say that the Cambridge 15 is the test 1 that is bar chart.
I said I don't want test 1. I said test 2. Did you not hear it when I said it's not the exact question that is there?
Okay.
Did you not hear it?
No.
I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. Test 2 is what I want you to do. Go and do
All
test
right,
2.
ma.
Thank you very